Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Hi everybody. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Any questions from the previous session? All right. So last time we saw this interval match. In continuation to that, so we were able to identify how to create these buckets. This is one of the most easiest and most flexible method to do the bucket or range analysis. And your projects do use this and try to use them. Interval match has a lot of, like scenarios where you can use them, advanced scenarios. So I'll cover one of the advanced scenarios for interval match so that it will help you understand how you could use that more effectively. While we do that, so in between I'll also show you how to declare a couple of variables. I'll take the peak example itself, and then based on that I will try to show you a couple of more things. So last week we saw a peak, right? So peak I was explaining, yesterday we saw peak. Peak I was explaining how do you actually find out, you can, using peak, you can pick a particular value in a particular record or particular row number, right? The row number is whatever parameter you pass. Either you come from the top, that is 0 to 1, or you follow from the bottom, that is -1 in the negative. So while using this, while using this peak, right, peak can be used more effectively. So what all methods you can use? Now while I go there, then in Qlikview there are two methods that you can create variable. So this is, the two major methods that you can create variable are, one is in the script. So you define or declare variables during the scripting or in the script, and one in the UI application. Technically, whatever you describe or declare during the script, that will be available at the UI. So you don't have to create two times. You'll have to create one. But the vice versa is not true. If you create a variable in the UI, it won't be available in the script. So when you execute it or change the script from a file to file, you'll have to make sure you'll have to copy those variables manually. When we are doing the design, I'll discuss the variables in the UI. Right now, let's discuss the variables in the script. And script, again, there are two ways to declare variables. One is a set, and another is let. So set, suppose I declare a variable v test1 is equal to 1 plus 2. Okay. And let v test2 is equal to 1 plus 2. So I can declare two variables using either set or let statements. Have you earlier come across set and let statements? Can you guess what will be the resultant be? What will test1 have and what will test2 have once I reload this?
Hello, I can't really see anything. I only see your.
Yeah, I don't see the screen too.
Yeah, I only see the. What's that?
Yeah, even I can see the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason it was frozen.
Yeah, now we can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I was discussing about set and let. So basically, I put up this expression: set v test 1 is equal to 1 plus 2, and let test 2 is equal to 1 plus 2. So can you guess what, or do you know? I mean, have you experienced set and let statements earlier? Not in Qlikview, maybe in SQL also, I think.
How about the C sharp? It has something similar like that.
Set and get in
If-
Java, but it will be.
Okay. So let's see exactly what will happen. I'll just reload this. Like I said, whatever I define in the script will be available for me in the UI. So in the UI, there is an option called settings, variable overview. This while we're doing UI designer, we'll understand. So if you look at it, the test 1 has the value 1 plus 2 and test 2 has the value 3. So test 1 still has the same whatever I updated, 1 plus 2. The second one has evaluated whatever is there. So that's the difference between set and let. Both are used to declare variables, but the word set actually just passes the string value to the variable. So whatever is there on the right hand side is a string. It doesn't evaluate anything. So if it is 1 plus 2, it just passed 1 plus 2. Whereas the let is like a evaluation statement. So whatever is there on the right hand side of the equal sign, it will evaluate it. So it evaluated 1 plus 2 as 3 and it won. So whenever you want to declare any string, right, you just want to declare v test1 is equal to testing. So you just declare it like this, whether string or whether number or anything. You just want to declare some particular static value, you use set statement. Whenever you have any manipulation or calculation to be done and then declare, you will end up using let statement. You have to use the let statement. You can't actually put today over here. So if you want to declare today's date to set, you can't declare today over here. It won't take. It will just take it as a string, right? But if you want to declare today's date in a particular variable, you can always do it in the let statement. It will take it. So if you look at it, it's taking today as an evaluation statement. So that's the difference between set and let. So yeah, generally in interviews also they'll ask you, what's the difference between set and let? Why can't I use set statement for a particular thing? Why can't I use let statement? So tell them wherever you just want to pass the string. So suppose they would say that they might come up with, I mean, sometimes you might want to store a formula in a state, in a variable. So there might be chances where you want to store a formula which you want to call at some places. So sum of order. You want to store this formula as a string in a variable. At that time, you use the set statement, right? But if you put the same sum of order quantity here, it will evaluate that sum of order quantity and give you the resultant value. But you don't need the resultant value. You need the formula to call wherever you want to while you're doing some optimizations or anything. So that time you'll end up using sum of order else. So simple rule, whatever is there on the right hand side for the set statement is a string. It doesn't evaluate. Whatever is there on the right hand side of let statement, it will evaluate. It's not that you can't pass string in a let statement, you can still pass it, but yeah, it will still take it. It will evaluate. There's nothing to evaluate, so it will pass the same value as to. But it's not the true vice versa true for set statement. So that's let statement. Using let statement, now let's see, we'll start declaring variables. Now, while I declare variable, right, so you can use a lot of functions and everything. We'll see that while we are doing functions. Now, coming back to the peak. So we use the peak during runtime, right? The runtime, I'm reading the table. So it's going back to whatever negative or positive number that I'm giving. If I give -1, it will read the value. Now suppose I want to pass the first value, the second value, the last value, and the second last value into variables. The first value, what I will do is I will peek into the field, right? The field that I have to peek into the date, and I'll have to specify which row number. So first row is nothing but 0, right? So now data, I'll peek into the, basically I'll have to pass the table name. Same thing I'll do, second value, new, like the field, which value I want and what is the table name. Last value -1, -2. So it's, you can use peek to do this, to find out, probably read values from a table. Not only through runtime, you can do it while, within the table, you can use it outside the table. So it says first value is 34, second value is 45, last value 23, and second last value 45. Right. So that's how the peek is taking. Now this is how you declare peek and you call for the variables basically. Now with this peek and interval match, so understanding how to create variables, how to create understand peek, we'll try to resolve one complex business logic that is generally there in a lot of organizations. So let's begin with this table. Let me just, so if you have worked on pricing, right, in a pricing in a sales in a manufacturing organization or sales, so there is a price set for a product. Now how couple of systems capture the price is, they won't capture the daily price of a product. So what they do is they just capture the changes. What I mean is when the product started, right? So it started in 6/15/2008. Right. The product. So typically, like I was talking, in an organization you start, so the product started in 6/15/2008. So they updated the price. So the price of per unit was $1.95. Now from 6/15/2008 to 7/3/2008, so July 3rd, 2008, the product was same thing. It was $1.95, but it changed the price in July 3rd. That was to $2.95. From July 3rd to September 1st, 2008, there has been no change. That is, it was still $2.95. From September 1st, 2008, the price is $1.5. So only the changes are captured in the system. The system doesn't capture the daily price. Now the same thing for the same other products. So like this, you'll have a pricing transaction table where only the changes will be captured. So if you look at it, there is no end date of the price also, right? The end date is nothing but the next start date -1, right? So if you do -1, you'll get the end date. So end date of this price is 7/2/2008. So there is no end date. So I'll have to find out end date. Now what happens is, in your typical analytical structure, they will want to observe the price daily, right? They want to have the daily transaction. They will want to have the monthly. They will want to have a daily price movement. They will want to have monthly. They will want to have annual price movement, and various. For every product, they want to see what exactly is the pricing. And typically, what happens is, suppose your order quantity, right? So order quantity on this date is different. So you have to multiply with the current price. Suppose you're loading data. Okay, you're loading data on 9/1/2008, right? This order quantity is 100 over here. But you are also loading historic data, right? you just can't take the latest price and multiply it to all the other dates, because all the other date price was different. So your sales figures of historic sales figures will go wrong. So you will have to make sure that whatever dates are between this 7 12 9 7 3 9 7 3 2008 to 9 1 2008, it has to be multiplied by 2.95, so that your revenue figures show up in the right way. So that is a challenge. So doing it like going every time while querying it, looking at the date, giving the range, and then doing it, you can do that. That's the normal SQL methodology. But what you'll run into is, I mean, it's like a processing time and it's a difficulty. One first thing is that you can achieve the result of multiplying the right order quantity with the right price based on the date. But what happens is when you do a daily, when you want to do a product pricing analysis, when you want to pull up a chart, so a chart can be drawn only when you have the dates. When what I mean is, if you want to see the pricing difference between July to September, right? July, August, September, you need to know the data for July, you need to know the data for August, you need to know the data for September. Only then you can draw like a graph around it. If the data is only not there, the graph will obviously not come. And you can't actually draw a graph with something imaginary or something not there, something that is calculated. So it is a difficult thing. So what we do in Qlikview is, when you come across this kind of a situation, so we try to create a table. We try to create a master table. So the master table will be simple, nothing much. So it will start with July. Give me a second. So the method that we do is, so we try to create a pricing master where for every day we will update the date. So the best solution to it is, right, the tried, tested, and the recommended is, you can't do analysis for data that is not there. So if a particular day in the month does not have data, obviously you can't do any analysis on that unless you create data for that particular day. So it's the same for pricing. So if you want to see the pricing movement or any movement which for any particular method where you have data similar to this, you'll have to create it. So that's the best, instead of trying to do, like, there are a lot of other complicated methods, create complicated formulas, create complicated logic. But the premise of Qlikview is to keep it as simple as possible. So it's okay to have more data. So this will extrapolate data, might create one more column with a lot of rows. It doesn't matter until and unless, I mean, because of the uniqueness of it will get compressed, so we'll not have to be concerned about it. But what we'll have to make sure is give a very simplified analysis method to the user. So what we do is we just go ahead and create the dates between these dates, right? So from here to July, I'll create all the dates and update that 1.95 cents. So I'll update till here. And here I'll update 2.95. Similarly, I'll go ahead and create the dates till 9/1/2008, right? And then update the date till there. I mean, till price, the old price. Now what I'll have is technical. For every date, I will have the price. Now when I have to multiply my order quantity, right, I don't have to write a complex query to really find out which date, what price was it, and then multiply it. I can simply use apply map, or even more simpler, I can do a left join based on the order date for this price. So based on the order date for that particular product, right, product and order date basically, I will get the right price for it. That's all my logic is. I can work around with this. Now the challenge is how do you convert this with not having to run through maximum logic. I mean, not having to run through great difficulties. So we use combination, interval match, peak, statements, and a little complex coding. Now, I mean, when I say complex, it's basically more advanced than what we have seen till now. First, we will create an end date to it, right? What I'll do is I'll create an end date. So my end date is typically nothing, but whatever the next start date -1 will be my end date. Right. Here there is no end date, so I will use today as my date. Now what happens is, if you observe, when the product changes, this right 9, the product A, right, also needs to have today, because it is not the next, because the product has changed. So I'll have to make sure that I compare whether the product is changing, and then I'll have to build that. So over here what I'll have to do is, instead of B5, I'll have to give today. So the date is the rate is valid till today, right? So here also I'll have to do the same thing. Right? The date is valid till today. So if you look at it, I have my dates covered. So $1.5 is valid till today for product A, and $120 is valid till today for product B. Any question? Okay, now my start date, end date is ready for this table. I have one particular table. Now how do I achieve creating one date for every this thing? Okay. So for this, I can't directly just do this. What I will do is I will generate the dates. I will generate a master calendar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the maximum date available over here. So the maximum date, right? So or the minimum date, the last date available over here is 6/15/2008. So I'm going to find out the maximum date. I'll find out the last date that is available in the system, 10/11/2008, or the last date is what? Today, right? The last date for us is today. Last date available is today. Now I'm going to automate the process of generating dates from 6/15/2008 till today. Then I will have all the dates in between. I will have a master calendar. So it's like a master date calendar. Now once I have this dates, right? Once I have these dates, now my half job is done, right? All I have to do is interval match and apply value, right? I will go take the interval. I'll take the master calendar date. I'll take the date from here. I will go see the start date, end date, match it between that. I will link this date to this particular value, right? For product A, for price. So if I run the interval match, my half solution is done, and I have the linking, and my complete solution will be done. So first thing is find out the end date, right? This step we'll do. Second step, create a master calendar from the last known date or the minimum known date till today. Then do an interval match and create the pricing transaction table. So if you go back to our, let's see how to do that. So this is my pricing transaction table. I am using an inline load only so that I can update. I don't have to use an Excel file. This qualify is doing nothing. It's just for representation. I have added this extra, like just to present it in the data without having to have a synthetic key. I've created a dummy copy of this table. Okay, so this is not significant in any solution. This you don't need to build, but this is something that you'll have to observe. I have loaded the price transaction table. Now my first step is find out the end date, right? So this has the start date. I'll have to find out the end date. Let's move to that. So what I begin with is I do a right join. So basically what I'm doing is I'm doing a resident load of this price transaction. During that resident load, I am trying to compare the products and then looking at the next start date and subtracting it 1. Now this, I will not be able to do it when I have it bottoms up, right? So like if I have it in this order, 6 from the minimum date to the maximum date order, I can't do +1 and do it. I can look at the previous value and subtract it, right? So I can compare 7/3/2008 to 6/15/2008. So I can't do the other way around. I can't compare the first record to the second record because the second record wouldn't have loaded. So for that logic, what I have done is, or what we do is, we sort it in the descending order. So we sort the dates in the descending order. So technically, while we are loading, we will load the 9/12, the latest period or the date first. So 9/1/2008 will load first, 7/3/2008 will load second, the 6/15/2008 will load in the end. So when it loads for the first time, so we do a check, right? So when the previous product is equal to the current product, so I put the date, start date -1, previous start date -1. Otherwise, just date today -1. If the products are not same, so don't use the next previous start date, just update it. So what will happen is when it comes to A and B, right? So it will compare, okay, A and B are not right, not equal. So I just have to update today -1. So that's what I have done over here. Using that, I will create an end date. So over here I am using the order by statement. We'll discuss about order by a little later. It's nothing different than the SQL statement. The number of fields that you will have in a table, and whatever you're ordering by, you'll have to update the fields over here. The last keyword descending describes the descending, what type of sort you want, descending or ascending. So here I'm very specific that products start date should be in descending. So this will create what I like. At the end, I'm just creating one table, price transaction, by doing a right join. There's no specific reason for a right join. We can do a left join also. It doesn't really matter. Ultimately, I'm getting one single table. My first objective of creating this table is achieved by this statement. Right. I do this. Now, my next task is to find out the least date. So I'll have to find out which is the least date in the price start date. So what I'm going to do is, the only method that I can find out, so I can't do a minimum of a particular table or pass on, I can't use any function. The only method I can do is create another dummy table and load minimum date into that. So if you look at it, that's what I'm doing. I have done a minimum dummy table. I'm loading minimum of start date from price transaction. So I'm just loading. Now this minimum date, right? The minimum date table will have only one record. That is one column, one record. That column name will be minimum all date, and the value in that will be the minimum date from the price transaction. Now once I have the table, that's the only method that I can get minimum dates out of a particular table, particular column. Once I have this, using, like I can do it using peak. But here they have chosen to do field value. So I will come back to field value later. I'll go ahead and use peak. So I'll use peak. I'll have to give the field name, right? I'll have to give the position. So there's only one record, so I'll give the position as 0, and I'll have to give the table name. No, this has to be in single quotes. So now I'm passing the start date from here. So the minimum start date to the V start date. Okay. Now my job is done from this table. I don't no more need this table. So I drop this table. Now end date is nothing but, like I told in the Excel file, end date is the current today's date minus 1, or you can continue to use today's date. So use it. This one within this application, right? Today function. Even if you use today, it will give you the normal function. If you use 1, it specifically takes the system time. So there is we'll discuss about this at a later point. But there is a significance of this 1. It just uses the system time. Now I have my start date, I have my end date. Using this, I will generate the calendar. So for generating, there's something in Qlikview, looping also is available. Right? So just like how you can loop other things. But looping is not for data processing. So you don't have to loop to process every record. You loop to process the entire script. So what we'll do is we'll run a script till we get the number of days. Now in Qlikview, there's a keyword called auto-generate1. Right? What happens is, if you have a data source, you can load the data source, or if you want to create a dummy table, you use an inline load. Otherwise, you can use an auto-generate statement and give some sequential numbers to generate. So Qlikview will generate some data based on the logic that you give, and you'll have to specify auto-generate. Now this one specifies how many records you want to generate. So I can put in a logic telling that, okay, 1 plus 2 or 1 plus I, next I auto-generate 100. So it will generate 100 records using, changing the pointer in I. So that way I can run this. Now changing the pointer I is done by the loop. So this entire statement is nothing but loop. So this statement is the preceding load statement. It is not the actual statement. So we'll leave this. You don't have to. The main statement is over here. It says load data start date plus interval number. Interval number is nothing but while you're looping, right? So generally in looping, what you do is you just specify I plus 1 or I plus 1 in a couple of scripts. In Qlikview, you don't have to do that. So interval number will count the number of intervals the loop is going through. So first interval 1, second interval 2. So if you use the interval number, actually you'll get that. So that's what we want to do, right? So we use the start date. You keep on adding the interval. So 1 interval, it will add plus 1. 2 interval, it will add 2. 3, it will add 3. So based on the number of intervals, it will add those number of days and create the field called date. So date plus whatever number will give you another date. Now every time it is doing the interval number, I just want to generate one record. Right? This entire script will generate one record. What it will generate? Start date plus whatever the interval number. I keep doing this while my start date plus interval number, whatever date, right, that I get, start date plus interval number is less than my end date. So I keep doing this loop. So that's the while loop. So we'll understand a couple of other loops while we move forward. But yeah, quick one is, the smallest one is the while loop. You just keep doing it while the interval start date plus interval number is less than end date. Now this whole thing will generate all the dates required for my analysis. So it will generate everything. Now what we are doing is we are putting a preceding load to calculate the month over here. So over here only we don't want to complicate this too much over here, so we are not doing it. We are using this script to just generate all the dates, and the script on top of it is just to add a month as a dimension to see the like a trend or anything for analysis. So this makes our table the price master. So this table will have all the dates that are required for us. We will just run the script and see till now how it fares. Okay. So I mean, if you look at the auto generation, right? So it says auto generated 1, but it generated 2,433 days. I mean, records. That means it has generated so many days. So if you want to look at the days, price master. Right, so it has generated all the dates till 2/12/2015 till today. Now once I have this, my work is done. So if you look at it, it's like a separate price master. This is my price transaction. This is my qualified statement that I've given, right? The qualified table. This is not significant, but this is my price transaction. If you look at the price transaction, my analysis is simple. All I have to do is create an interval match, right? If you remember the interval match thing. So I will create the interval match and left join it to the price transaction. So this is my price transaction. I will create a left join. What I'm going to do, take the date, use the start date, end date from the price transaction table and load it. Right. So let's load it till here and see what happens. So what happened was in the price transaction table, in the price master, right, because of the, so price transaction also has start date, end date. Because of the left join, the price master also has the start date, end date, because of which a synthetic key is created. But technically my price master has start date, end date, month. Start date, end date combination is linked to the price transaction. So you can eliminate it by a left join to the price transaction. What I will do is, I will take the price transaction table and left join it to the price master. Okay, and I no more need the price transaction, so I'll drop it. So technically what I'm doing is, I'm taking this table, left joining to the price master, and then I'm dropping off this table because I don't need that table right anymore. So I'll just run that. Ultimately I'll have only one table, that is the entire price master. My price transaction is gone. Now my price master, we will have the date, will have the month, will have the product and its price for various things. If you observe keenly, the price would have changed. So it is 6/16/2008. The price is this. So if I scroll down to 78579 or something, the price changes over here. 73. Similarly, if I scroll down, the price will change for a particular value. So July, August, same price. September, it is changed over here. Now look at the easy method that I can draw out graphs. So I can create a month and I can see how the trend is moving for A, how the trend is moving for B. Sorry, A and B. Right, month on month trend. If I have to use this in my sum of order quantity or anything, just multiply it by whatever field I want to. So this is one of the methods which you'll have to use it not only in price transaction, in couple of areas. So it's a very useful and easy method to do, like generate data or do complicated analysis. Were you able to follow me?
I have a question, like that auto generate one you have written, right? That can be even used for numeric values,
Yeah.
or it's for data.
You can understand.
Then how it will work for numeric values? Then how it will work? Like you are saying, like it will increment the record, not the value.
Right. We'll discuss about that. But I mean, have you understood this? The increment, the entire pricing.
Yeah.
And I'll discuss more about the auto generate. But is this overall concept clear for you? I mean,
yes.
Of creating, generating missing data or anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Mark, Saif, you have any questions? All right.
Yeah, no, sir.
No,
It's fine.
not
I've been following.
I just have to try later myself. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it will help you to create a lot of things. So load one as test. So I'm passing a string value. Okay, I'm saying load one as test. Okay, just a second.
Why I can't hear you? Are you speaking? Hello?
Yeah, sorry, I think I muted myself.
Oh,
So what I was, hello, can you hear me now?
yeah.
Okay, I think I'll just repeat this. So let me load this. I'm loading load one as test, auto generate 10. What this does is it generates 10 records. So though you are seeing only one, in the back end, it has 10 records. Right? Auto generate does not define any incremental logic or doesn't have inbuilt incremental logic. Whatever you pass, so string, I'm passing this value to this field. Okay, this is not like field to field. If I pass anything within single quotes, right, it goes as a string variable, a string value to a field. So my field is test, my value is string. I just reload this. 10 records, 10 lines will be generated with the same value. The auto generate doesn't have any inbuilt auto generate incremental value. What you can do is you can use along with the looping or with some other logic. So one of the logic is if I use 1 plus row number. Now row number is not something like the peak one. Peak has 0, 1, 2, 3 and the negative. So over here it is not. Row number will straight away give you what is the row. Now 10 rows are generated by auto generate. So it will number 1 to 10. Now if I add 1 plus 1, what will happen is it will just try to create basically. So first row will be 1 plus 1, second row will be 1 plus 2, third row will be 1 plus 3. So I decrement the row number by 1 so that I get the right value. So first row will be 1 plus 0, second will be 1 plus anything like that, right? Okay, what I'll do is I will do this separately first and then I will show it to you. Let me just generate auto generate 10. Now technically what it generated in the backend was this. So test row number 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's what we put, right? Row number minus 1. I'll use this row number and add it to my actual value that is being generated. So I'll get an auto-generated list of 1 to 10. So this is one concept of using auto-generate without any loop. Now when I have a loop, when I want to do a record or an interval, this thing, right? So I can do this. I will just say auto-generate 1. I will not do anything. I'll say auto-generate 1. So what will happen is Qlikview is just going to generate one record, one lines fetched. Sorry, a little fast over there. Auto generate 1, only one line fetched, right? So I have only one line fetched. If I know the definitive I have to generate 100 records, I can say auto generate 100. I know definitive I want to generate 200 records, I can say auto generate 200. Now where I don't know how many records I have to generate, right? The number is ambiguous or dependent on any other number. What I can do is I can put this into a loop that is nothing but while loop. While okay. While we'll have to use a variable. So actually we'll have to define some variables. So let v start is equal to 1. Now I can define let v end is equal to 100. What I can do is while v start plus, whenever I'm calling variables in a statement, I will always have to use them between two braces with preceding a dollar sign. So dollar sign and two braces. That's when it realizes it's a variable. So okay, I'll just use this. Lesser than or equal to 100. The same thing I can update it over here. So what it will do is it will keep auto generating whatever while it is looping through this statement. Generated 99 lines based on what I loop I give. So that's the auto generate mechanism and the interval match. Any questions here?
What if we don't want to increment by 1, we want to increment by 5 or something like that?
Yeah, you'll have to build a logic. So if you want to increment by 5, right? What do you want? Yeah, you go ahead and you just have to build a logic now. Increment into 5, I think, right? So this will give you interval number into 5. This should give you that. It's a matter of mathematics, that's all. Yeah, my start number is 1, that's why. If my start number was 0. Right. You'll just have to figure out a mathematical formula, that's all.
Okay, no, I was just trying to understand how it works.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's the interval, like the increment count is just like how you want to build it. If you have any approach to it, you can.
Sorry.
Build it.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. Mark, you're not audible if you're asking a question.
Your screen has gone blank.
Hello?
Hello, your screen has gone black, full blank it is. Black color.
It's unplugged or something like that.